Quick little announcement here from Fishing the DMV. Our Weekend Warrior Club membership on Patreon is open to the public. However, there's only 100 new spots still available. Once these spots are gone, they're gone, and I'll be closing down the club to any new members until 2027. All club members will receive 20% off their orders to Tactical Fishing Company, 10% off their orders to Tiger Crankbaits, 5% off their orders to Jake's Bait and Tackle. You also gain access to our 4-month-long fishing tournaments that we put on every year, monthly fishing reports that cover a lot of our major rivers and lakes, access to our private Facebook group community, ad-free content, giveaways, and so much more. Link in the episode description down below. Thank you so much.
You're listening to Fishing the DMV with your host, Thomas Ahrens. Fishing the DMV is brought to you by Jake's Bait and Tackle, located in Winchester, Virginia, Tactical Fishing Company, and Fishing Pro Tech, located just outside Williamsburg, Virginia.
If that doesn't get you jacked up, I don't know what will.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Fishing the DMV. I'm your host, Thomas Ahrens, and we had a crazy week with after the Richmond show. We just survived what everyone hyped up as the worst blizzard imaginable. We had the blowout on the Potomac River, and yeah, everyone survived. And a little housekeeping, just so everyone doesn't yell at me. This weekend, the Dale City fishing show is still on, so if you want to come on out, I think doors open at 7 a.m. We'll see you there. Then the next weekend, we're at Augusta County. They have a 2-day show that's going to be a huge shindig. That is February 7th through the 8th. And then Saturday the 21st, we have Jake's Bait and Tackle Kayak Show and Expo. If you want to put your kayak in, because there's 5 categories that you can win prizes in, you can message me, fishingthedmv@gmail.com. And then the weekend after that is the last thing before I can pass out and actually think about fishing. I'll be down at Fishing Pro Tech. They have a really, really fun little open house there. So that's all the stuff that we have going on. With that said, I have the guy that won AOY for NVKBA last year, an absolute hammer on the water, Mr. Butler. Sir, thank you so much for coming on.
Hey, thanks for having me, Thomas. It's good to see a friendly face.
Dude,
snowed in for a few days.
It was bad, at least up where I'm at. I mean, hopefully the roads near you got cleared up pretty quickly.
Yeah, last year the neighborhood I'm in was very icy, and they didn't clear it out for like almost a week, and it was like a ice rink out there. But this year they corrected it and they cleaned it up pretty quick. So
it was also nice to see you just hanging out with the NVKBA guys this past weekend at the Richmond show. It's fun when you camp out there, because you get to scratch that itch and get the fever really jacked up for spring to come. It was one thing when you go there for one day, but ever since I started hanging out for 3 days, it's just like, oh my God, can spring just hurry up and come already?
Yeah, I haven't done 3 days, but I had a good time on Saturday when I went out there. So yeah, it was fun.
You were one of the OG guests that I had, and we're going to get into it a blow by blow about your season, but overall, after winning AOY, from when you began kayak fishing till now, what are a couple of the biggest lessons that you feel like you've improved on as an angler?
Man, that's hard. I guess time management is always one of those things as a kayak tournament angler that I try to improve on every time I go out on the water. But it's really hard to master that, because you always have, or at least I do, I always have regrets after each tournament. I'm like, oh, I could have did this. Like, hindsight's 20/20, you know. I think time management, I've gotten better at time management, but I still regret, like, every time I'm like, I can do better. Maybe not regret. Regret's the wrong word, but, you know, I can always improve that. It's a work in progress.
I will say, as an angler, from personal experience, bad personal experience, I have tons of regrets on the water, but it's usually like a missed fish or a hook I didn't like sharpen, things like that. But it's like what's what shapes us and makes us try not to make the same mistake twice, so to speak. Yeah, because I know from like even measuring fish, the first year versus now, it's like I look back like, you were such an idiot. Why would you lay the fish on your lap, take your hands off, and fumble around for something or whatever? And lessons learned.
Early on, yeah. Keeping the mouth closed was a big thing early on for me. Pushing it up against the fence and actually having the mouth shut, that was a big thing. You know, you get deducted so many points, or you know, a quarter inch, half inch, whatever, or it just gets DQ'd altogether, the fish, depending on how bad it is. If it's not even touching the fence, it could just be DQ'd, you know. But yeah, that was a big thing. And also, I've gotten pretty good at not having any fish DQ'd. You know, not
Was that a
being
big
able
change?
to. I'm sorry.
Was that a big adjustment that you consciously tried to make?
Yeah, yeah. The first few years, I've been tournament fishing since 2018, 2019, somewhere. I think it was 2018, end of 2018. And I just did a couple of tournaments here or there. You know, I didn't go full seasons like I do since 2021. I think is when I started doing actual full seasons. At least with NVKBA. But yeah, it's something I improved on greatly. Especially the more I did, the more I improved. But fish flopping off the board was a big one too early on.
Any adjustments that you made to your kayak going into the and guys, we're going back in time here, so like January of last year as you're going into your 2025 season, was there any adjustments you made kayak wise, setup wise, like electronic wise?
Yeah, I put two. So I had a Humminbird 7-inch side scan unit. It's the GX3 or G3 or whatever, Generation 3. I like that one, but I think the transducer got messed up on it. So I was using, I put a 9-inch Garmin on 2 years ago for forward facing. And I was just staring at that most of the time. Honestly, I'd get sonar on the other screen. I had them side by side on my new canoe Flint. That's what I fished 2020, pretty much 2020. Yeah, all the way back 2019, 2020 till now. I've just had the Flint. I haven't really upgraded anything.
Sounds like the hull's pretty durable then. If you've been able to compete with that sucker for that long without any issues.
Yeah, I overload the hell out of it, but yeah, it works. It's harder to flip when you overload it.
I guess that's true.
It really is. I've fallen out of it and climbed back in it.
Really? Was it a recent fallout?
Oh no, it's been a few years, but usually like when we're fishing the smallmouth waters, like the Shenandoah and stuff, I'll get hung up on a rock and I'll jump out, you know, just so I don't flip.
Yeah,
you know, every smallmouth person knows about those. The current gets you. Your kayak either gets stuck in the current and flips that way where the rock is, or you get stuck this way. And either way, it's better just to jump out. If you're gonna get wet, you might as well jump out and save yourself if you can.
Don't misstep and make sure that your life preserver will inflate too, guys. Just FYI.
Don't jump out right now though.
Yeah.
Don't jump out
right
in cold weather.
With scope, how many years have you had scope now? When you were going into 2025, was that your first full year in 2025 or what?
No, 2024 was my first year with the full year with scope. Yep.
Okay.
2024.
Was there any tactical adjustments that you made? Like I remember talking to you, I think maybe it was your first year and John had the same problem online where you're like, you just get so video game locked in and you realize like, oh shit, it's been like 5 hours and I've been looking at the same fish. Was that something you had to improve at all? Or was there anything like that you had to overcome?
Yeah, so forward facing, it's definitely a learning curve, and I haven't mastered it by no means. I still feel like I'm an amateur at it. And it might just be more the bait presentation, and the jig head minnow still hasn't stuck. I don't really understand it yet, but you know, playing keep away and all that, I'm still working on honing those down. But as far as being able to see what the fish are, how they're reacting to stuff, I've learned a bit about fish behavior and decision making. It's, you know, you've heard it a whole bunch from professionals and stuff. It's all decision making, and it's efficiency on the water. It makes you more efficient being able to see what the fish are doing, right? So if they look at your lure and run away, or, you know, swim away, then it's like they probably don't want it, or you're too close, or there's something's happening. You know, something's always happening. So it helps you figure out a little quicker than not being able to see them like real time. I've gotten better at that.
When you were getting in, like going into 2025, was your strategy to use like scope primary or go bank beating, or just basically let the conditions dictate? Like, how did you want to incorporate all those new things into your strategy?
So yeah, so I actually, for the smallmouth water, so I didn't fish Shenandoah. I had a camping trip that day, but the other smallmouth water and the tidal Potomac, I didn't even bring electronics with me. I left them at the house. I didn't want to, because I was fishing shallow for both of them, Upper Potomac and the tidal Potomac. So yeah, no electronics at all. But yeah, it kind of changed my. I went more deep basically this year for most of the tournaments, lake tournaments. I went deeper, and I tried to play on my confidence baits more, and yeah, just tried to fish conditions more this year, or I mean, 2025.
And something before we kind of get, because guys, we're about to go into the whole schedule in his year, but crappie fishing. Were you always a crappie fish guy before scope, or did you really get into it more with scope? Because I'm letting everyone know now, not gonna lie, I got way more into pan fishing, crappie fishing when I had scope, where it's cold as shit. The bass aren't going to bite, but I could take my crappie rod out there and just have fun. So I will say scope did get me more passionate about other species for sure.
I've been pretty into crappie fishing well before scope. There used to be a pond in Hanover County that I fished a lot that had crappie, and my cousin caught a huge crappie out of there, and ever since, we'd have 50, 60 fish days each, just throwing a curly-tail grub and catching nothing big, but he's caught some pretty nice ones out of there, and it was just, we always call it the crappie pond. It was always a fun time, but yeah, I got into like pintail minnows and actually honing in the whole pendulum thing, and the lighter weight you go, if you go a 1/32 ounce, you can keep that thing up in the water column and pretty much just hold it right in their face, but you can cast it out and do it. And I would just do it at different depths before scope, or I'd see them on side scan or sonar. I like sonar the best. When I go across them, like in the channel or something, then I could see kind of where they're at better than any other, better than side scan. So I'd kind of double back and try to put like a waypoint or something on them. And I'm not opposed to using those buoys either. The ones with the lead weight. I used to use those a lot too, just to give me an idea, like a visual marker, for like
especially when no one's around.
Yeah.
I know some people get paranoid with that. With no one's around, it's kind of nice to have some kind of visual marker to make sure you're set up where you should be.
Yeah, but that's pretty much where it started. Was in Hanover. Fishing with my cousins, my dad, just messing around.
Tactical Fishing Company is a veteran-owned fishing brand that specializes in soft plastics and hollow body frogs that are designed in-house. They collaborate with anglers across the country, giving you some of the best designs out there. If you haven't checked them out yet, you're really missing out. Their number one selling bait is the MRE, Minnow Ready to Eat Hybrid Swim Bait. It flat out catches fish. Whether you're throwing it on your favorite spinnerbait or bladed jig as a trailer, or using it as a standalone finesse presentation, it's one of those baits you can keep tied on all day and stay confident in. And if you're chasing snakehead, Tactical Fishing Company has you covered. They make some of the most rugged, durable frogs out on the market today, from the Dragon Pop to my personal favorite, the Rizzard. When it's time to try and tame your next dragon, they've got the tools you need to make the day on the water memorable. So go support a veteran-owned business, fish with confidence, and make every cast count. Check out Tactical Fishing Company, link in the episode description down below.
I mean, that's going to come into play later than some of these tournaments with the jigging minnow stuff, where it's weird, like people that are good at crappie fishing now, all of a sudden they have a little bit of a superpower when it comes to bass fishing, and vice versa. It's crazy how that crossover is now there. So schedule wise, guys, I'll let you guys know now. For the people that are listening, actually I could probably just do this share my screen so everyone that's on the old YouTube can see this bad boy. Here we go. All right, so the schedule was for last year. Here we go. We had Lake Anna was the opener. I think it was March 28th. We had the Battle of Five Lakes. Is this 2026? It is. Whoops. Okay, there we go. Mike What are we doing?
It's very the first one's very close to.
Yeah, that's 2026. And with the power of editing, this little hiccup will be gone. Where is it, Mike? I know we know Battle of Five Lakes. We know Lake Anna is the very first one that they do. So there is that.
Yeah.
Where is media? There's media. And there's the album. Photos. There we go. And I'll get to it here. But anyway, so
yeah, that should show it eventually.
Lake Anna, first event.
Yes, it was the 29th last year. Yeah, that event, it started out really weird. It was a 5 o'clock launch, if I remember correctly. The earliest launch was an hour before the tournament actually started. And 6 o'clock, it was, I don't know if you remember. Did you fish that?
It was cold,
it was dark,
and nasty.
It was dark, and I think the wind was kicking pretty good that morning. And I don't think it became light until like 7 o'clock.
Yeah,
6:45,
and it was like
something like that.
It was like you could launch at it was like launch time, and I'm gonna exaggerate, guys, but it was like launch at 4 a.m. But then it's like it doesn't get light until like 7, so you're just floating there in the ether, freezing.
Yeah,
that
was ominous feeling.
Interesting. Yeah, to say the least, dude. But like going into practice and stuff, like how was your practice for that event? Because the Friday before, it was not bad for me, honestly.
Yeah, so I practiced on some of these events the day before that Friday, up until the cutoff, where you can't fish. But I practiced for the opener a week before, a whole week on a Saturday, just to check out spots and see try to figure something out. Maybe I could predict from 1 week what they'd be doing, which is probably a mistake. I couldn't figure anything out, so it didn't help me or hurt me. The pre-fishing.
Well, then, with that said, now we can get into it. So, day one comes out there, wind is blowing. It was terrible conditions. I think the temperature dropped like 10 to 15 degrees. It was literally the worst case scenario. Plus, again, I'll keep reiterating, guys, like the wind for this was brutal. Like it was white caps depending on where you launched from.
Yeah, and I'll tell you where I launched. Dukes Creek Marina. I launched out of there and went down lake because I like fishing down lake. For whatever reason, with scope especially, honestly. But I did it without scope before too. When I won the Lake Anna one in 2022, I wasn't using scope. I didn't have it. But
I launched.
Yeah, I like that. I like that launch. It was actually I think it was the third time I launched out of Dukes.
I launched there too. Yeah, I think I launched there. John did. Molnar.
Yeah.
Ty, I think the guy that won it actually.
Yeah, I think a lot of the top 10 launched out of there, to be honest.
Yeah.
I don't remember who, but yeah, I'm pretty sure most of the top 10 guys launched out of there.
Did you not practice, but like history-wise, you said you go down lake. So does that mean you basically going to this event and you like, I was going to launch at Dukes, or was there conditions that would set up that would say like, I'm going to definitely launch at Dukes?
Yeah, so that's the problem I had before. I like launching at either Dyke 3 or I guess Pleasance. Is it Pleasance Landing down there?
Well, the power of Google Maps that I have. Yes, Pleasance, where that nice Mexican restaurant is. Like right on the.
I love that place.
Yeah,
it's a nice little treat when you get skunked out there. But which I do. I'm not that good, but I like launching down all the way down there. But the wind tried to kill me last year. Not last year, the year before that. The waves were like 3 foot tall. Remember, it was 2024 season for the opener, and the waves were like 3 foot tall, and we were able to fish either Saturday or Sunday for the tournament, and I chose Saturday because I'm dumb, and it got really choppy, and I basically rode the 3 foot waves all the way back to the dam, and it wasn't very fun. So I said, at least I can ride, and you have to go across the lake to get back to Dyke 3, or, that's a big area right there. And when the wind's blowing directly down the lake, it gets pretty dicey in a little kayak.
Yeah,
that was the dumbest thing, and that was the dumbest thing I've ever done in a kayak, honestly. So
well, the conditions weren't that bad.
Yeah, they weren't that bad. But just in case, the weatherman always screws it up a little bit. So if it's 5 mile an hour winds, I expect 15. So Duke's Creek Marina, I went down lake from there towards the dam and just kind of kept to the shoreline for the most part. Just in case I needed to get back, I could, just ride the shoreline, not have to worry about going in open water. So that's the whole reasoning behind it. I still wanted to fish down lake either way.
How'd you feel about your performance in that first one?
I did okay. My goal was to catch 5, and it was a good goal because I think there was I might mess up the number. I think it was 8 people had a limit in that tournament.
I think if you caught 5, you guys can help me in the comment section here. I think if you caught 5, you were guaranteed top 10 or top whatever because it was
it was either top 8 or top 10. Yeah, it was right in there. So yeah, 5 12-inchers went a long ways in that tournament. It was pretty rough.
That's guys, because we'll be back at Lake Anna here in this story, and that was just a rough event compared to the next time we're there.
So my strategy with the whole thing was get 5. So I had probably about 5 to 10 brush piles marked, and I was finding them as I fished in the day too. I was kind of just zigzagging, looking, and brush piles. Just throwing a drop shot, and I had a Ned rig, a wacky rig, or not wacky rig.
A Texas wacky rig Ned rig, guys. He's blowing it out of the water with the juice.
The Texas rig, the one that has the EWG hook on it.
You mean the flick shake? The
Z-Man makes it. Z-Man makes it. I forget what it's called.
What are you talking about? I'm so confused. So was it a Ned rig type of bait, or was it not a Ned rig? Oh, wasn't
it? Was a Ned rig, but it's
TRD?
The weedless one.
That
Z-Man makes, yeah.
Yeah, the weedless head.
Yep.
Okay,
that's the one. It has an EWG hook on it.
Yep, I know what you're talking about.
I don't know. But yeah, I was throwing that on the brush piles and catching. Yeah, every once in a while. I kept recycling the brush piles too. So I'd hit 5 or 6, and then I'd go back around and hit them again. And I wasn't catching a fish on every one. I think I only caught 5 fish in the whole tournament.
Wow.
And it took all day from going from brush pile to brush pile. And these brush piles down lake aren't close. The ones I know of, anyways. They're half a mile to a mile away from each other.
Did your gut in that event tell you it was going to be that tough? Because this is what screwed me up, where I just kept telling myself that a bunch of people are going to catch mega bags. It's a tough day, but somebody's going to catch, everyone's going to, and my gut kept telling me, I don't think so. I think it's going to be tough, but I kept arguing against that, where if I just started with a tiny ass Ned rig and just did that, I probably would have finished a lot better. Where was your head at?
Yeah, I assumed it was going to be tough. I've never had a tournament on Lake Anna early in the year where it wasn't, so I just assumed.
It's a safe bet, honestly.
The one I won was tough. I don't understand why it's always tough, but I can't figure them out. I'm gonna try this year. See if I'll let you know. If I figure something out on the next one.
Time of year thing. It definitely is a time of year thing. Let's see. And then, guys, now that I got the right schedule up.
There it is. Yep.
The next event.
2025 trails. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. I was looking at 22, 23. That's the icebreaker.
And the way Mike likes to do it, we usually start in the year at the old Lake Anna. So after stop number 1, we go to May for the next event, May 3rd, and that was the trail stop number 2, tidal Potomac River. What were your thoughts going into this event?
I had a pretty good idea I was going to catch fish, but I didn't know the quality because there's a creek. There's 2 different creeks that I like to fish in April and May, and I wanted to go to Aquia. That's not where I went, but I wanted to go to Aquia, but I just plans dictated that I went somewhere else. So I ended up. I'll tell you where I went. I went Pohick. I went to Pohick Creek, and I fished spatter dock in the back with topwater.
Pohick is pretty. Yeah, it's pretty solid.
It's muddy with spatter dock in the back, in the back of the little creek mouth right there. And yeah, I found a little spot that had water coming in and out, and a little ditch or whatever you want to call it. And yeah, I threw a hollow body frog, and I had success. So that's the first one that I actually fished the Friday before. I took off work, fished the Friday before, and I was planning on just throwing Texas rig plastics, Texas rig curly tail worm, and a Texas rig Cinco stick worm. I was going to just fish those weightless in the shallow stuff, and I couldn't get any success with it. And then I figured out kind of a topwater bite about 12 on Friday, the day before. So I just went in there saying I'm just going to throw topwater all day. And I'm not a very good topwater fisherman. I don't prefer it because I always strike out on it. But this time I actually just locked it in my hand most of the day.
Why did you settle on Pohick versus just going to your old bread and butter, your comfort zone, so to speak? Or do you think Pohick's more your comfort zone?
Pohick is my comfort zone. Yeah, Pohick's one of the creeks I was talking about that I like going up. Okay. Aquia is a good one as well. I think Aquia has bigger fish on average.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. And if you guys don't know that is listening in, like, it's so much farther south, so it warms up faster, all that jazz. The problem for me is, like, it's just the drive. Like, to be fair, like, where I live personally, it's like going to the moon to get there just to fish versus going to a Pohick or a Belmont Bay or something like that. But I can't deny that, like, it is effective if you're willing to go down there to fish it.
And Aquia, I've had my best days on Aquia on the Potomac. My best day has come out of Aquia several times, but it's a pattern that I can never replicate. I can replicate Pohick stuff usually. Other than the top water was kind of out of left field. That was the condition thing I was talking about earlier. Just fishing the conditions. That's what I did with Pohick, the top water. And it was a slow top water too. It wasn't like burning a frog across the top. It was throw it out, let it sit for 20 seconds or whatever you could stand, and then just popping it across a couple times and waiting. They'd blow up on that thing like 15 seconds after it sat still. Wow. I'm not even kidding. And I lost quite a few.
I was going to say, like, how was your success rate with the top water, and also was it packed? Was Pohick packed a lot of competition?
There's people out in the main part where there's a lot of wood and stuff. I was more tucked into the pads, into the spatter dock. So, yeah, I didn't have much competition where I was.
And something else, should have asked this earlier on, but you have a trolling motor on the front of your boat, right? Not behind, correct?
I do both.
Oh, you do both?
Yeah,
okay, cool.
With the Flint. So when I'm fishing rivers and stuff, like this one, I put a transom mount on the back, just a Newport Vessels 55 pound. I like using that for shallow stuff and stuff that if there's a log in the water, I won't hit my motor directly on it. I do the same thing with smallmouth waters. I use a transom mount just so when you come up on rocks, your kayak goes up on the rock and not your bow mount doesn't get all messed up. So you can't see them things coming.
No, that's a very quick way to lose your very nice Minn Kota or whatever you have, is to just yeet that sucker on the Shenandoah.
Yep. So that's the reason I switch between it's all dependent on what I'm doing.
That makes so much more sense.
Pohick in particular, but just tidal Potomac in general. I know I'm gonna be fishing shallow mostly, so.
Well, plus if you get the thing matted with grass, that would be a bitch to get to the front of your kayak to clean that off every time.
It really is. It really is.
Oh,
so, yeah. Top.
You survived. Where'd you finish in that one?
I have a little cheat sheet right here because I don't remember. Let me see.
I'll try to get up my cheat sheet as well.
I got third.
Okay.
On that tournament, third with 86.25.
Third is a pretty solid finish.
Yeah, I missed more fish than I caught too. Just
that's the nature of the beast, you know, with a frog. That's the nature of the beast.
Yeah. The frog was fun though. It was a fun time.
We're only 2 events into it, so I don't think the AOY thing is going to creep in. Oh, did it creep into your head yet?
So, yeah, 2 top 10s. was starting to kind of sink in a little that it could be possible, but there was other people that were getting top tens too, right along with me. So,
Well, this next one is going to be, these next two I think are interesting because, you know, the one you set out. So let's just get into the Battle of Five Lakes #1, which is May 17th. So
you won that.
yeah, that's the one that I won. For people that don't know, so you get to pick 5 lakes. This is the southern version. So it was, it was Mooney, Nye, Hunting Run, Able, and I think
Mott's
Run. I don't think anyone ever fishes Mott's.
I've heard that there's some good ones in there, but
I've heard Able's good too, but only 4 people can park in the parking lot. So
yeah, that's the rough part about that. Yeah, I've scoped it out. I've never fished it, but I scoped it out.
yeah, it's a cool lake, but it's the same thing with like Nye. I mean, Nye, I will say, guys, I think Nye's boat ramp is the worst in Virginia. Like, I would think
God.
It could make a contender, but at least you can park somewhere. Able is literally like, if that thing gets busy in the morning, you just physically can't park and fish there.
Yeah, yeah, it's bad.
So with that said, which lake did you pick?
I went Mooney, Lake Mooney.
Why did you do Mooney? Because the year before, you went to Nye, correct?
Yeah, I've done Nye every time.
Really? Okay.
I take that back. I think the very first year we did like Battle of Five, I went to Hunting Run, and I think I got like 2 fish. So never again will I probably go to Hunting Run.
John,
for,
do you
for
hear
that tournament anyway. But
So
Nye Reservoir is where I usually go because I think that's a solid. I've never gone past the bubblers either. I always fish just the bubblers. I've never gone around the bend and actually explored up the lake. I probably should. It looks really good, but
yeah, it's because like my whole thought process going into that event was I don't have scope. I was stupid the year before and went to Mooney. That's a pure scope lake with no scope, and I'm like, I didn't think I could win it Nye because Mooney is statistically, mathematically the better lake, but I thought like I could at least like have fun and fish stuff there.
Yep. So you're gonna find what I say about Mooney really strange then.
Ooh, okay. So what was the pick? Why did you pick Mooney?
So I pre-fished Mooney the Friday before the tournament. So I took off work and did the same thing as the tidal, Potomac, and I just pre-fished it, and I couldn't figure anything out until, and I was all over the lake. I think I burned the trolling motor, a new one, The entire time I was just looking on scope, looking on side scan, trying to figure out what is going on. And I couldn't really figure anything out until I sat in a cove just working a jig in the middle of the cove, and I didn't catch anything, but I saw something to the right of me. It was bluegill busting out out of the water. So the bass were chasing the bluegill shallow, and it happened like midday. So that Friday before the tournament, they were busting them up, and it wasn't always shallow. It was like 5-10 foot of water sometimes, but I'd see bluegill flickering, out of the water, clear as day. So I started cruising shallow, which I hadn't gone shallow since I was pre-fishing, since I started pre-fishing that day, and I started seeing like wolf packs of bass coming up into the shallows every now and then. I would stand up in my kayak and just cruise around all around the bank where basically the cove I was in, and I kept seeing bass come up, 3-4 pounders, come up and chase these bluegill. And I actually found bedding fish too, bedding largemouth.
Wow.
Yeah.
Dude,
yep, the fish were bedding. What was that? May 17th. The fish were still bedding in Mooney.
Dude, that is freaking wild, man.
Yep.
And so
I marked a bunch of beds basically. I went around the edge, saw these fish chasing them, and it might have been bedfish that were chasing them out. I don't know exactly, but the bluegill were maybe getting ready to spawn too. It's about that time of year, and yeah, there were some pretty good sized bluegill right up on the bank and on like trees, and they weren't everywhere. They were just in certain spots. So I marked those spots on the graph, and then I kept going around the bank, and I found a bank. Man, it was almost like the whole finger. You know how Mooney has like 3 fingers, the lake. It was basically the whole finger that I had on like the north bank or the northwest bank, whatever. And yeah, I just marked every spot, every fish I saw, every stump that looked good, and every clear bed that I saw. So I just cruised around standing up the rest of the day, pre-fishing day, just marking stuff on the electronics. And that was the game plan for the next day.
Did you have that kind of pattern to yourself? I mean, I feel like most people think of Mooney, they think a lot deeper kind of thing.
I saw quite a few people on tournament day fishing in the spots that I was fishing in, but I was just going around them, and I kept going around around everything that I had marked. And whatever I missed, I would just circle back around and try to hit it. But yeah, Ned Rig played on some of that too this tournament as well. What else? I used Texas rig, stickworm, Cinco, a wacky rig too. I wacky and stick Texas rigged. It has a different fall. I feel like if one doesn't work, maybe the other one will. I always try both of them.
Peanut butter and jelly bluegill brim eater kind of stuff.
Yeah, yeah. And I use like regular green pumpkin, or there's like a brown color with the stickworm. I was using that one too. But yeah, I was basically trying to mimic some kind of bluegill. Now, a jig worked too. I used the jig too.
Oh, you used the jig too? Okay.
Fish. Yeah. The biggest fish I caught that day was the 21-incher, and I think it was off the wacky rigged worm, 5-inch.
Did you scope it all in your game plan?
No. That's what I thought would be funny. I used it a little bit, but that shallow, I was catching fish 2 foot and 2-3 foot sometimes.
Wow, damn, that's I would not have had that on my bingo cards.
Some of those fish were up shallow, and I didn't think they would be.
It doesn't seem like Mooney's MO,
Yeah.
when you think of that place.
Huh. It's very weird. But like I said, I saw packs of like 3 to 5 bass chasing almost with their fins out the water. It was crazy. Like some points come out a little ways and taper out real slow. There were bass coming right up on those points, and you could almost see their fin sticking out the water like a shark. It's crazy.
How much did stealth, like with your game plan, like if they're that shallow, were they letting you get on top of them, or did you have to really stay off?
So my game plan, and it worked okay. I think I spooked more fish than I probably realized, because a lot of the places that I was throwing my worm to or jig on or Ned rig, all those places didn't produce a fish. And then I'd go across it and see something swim off. I'm like, oh man. So, but yeah, it went into my game plan to line my boat with. I'd come in pretty hot and then slow down on the trolling motor and keep it about 60 to 100 feet away, just far enough to where I can cast something out to it. And I didn't use forward facing. I just used my graph. I pretty much had my graph up the entire day, just lining up my the mark I put on the map. My waypoint, just lining it up for the cast. And then I kind of fan cast a little bit.
That's so cool. So again, guys, he got a 4th place with 89.25 inches.
Yeah.
Mooney. Right now, with where we are in the season, let me make sure I get it up here. So we got through Lake Anna, the tidal Potomac, Battle of 5 Lakes. So now you've had a cold spring lake, you had a tidal river, you had a deep clear reservoir during the spawn.
Yep.
Now, mentally, the Shenandoah River gets rescheduled because of high water.
Yep.
Which
I was ready to fish it too.
And where were you mentally with that? Were you nervous at all about having to miss that with where you were contention-wise with AOI?
I was very nervous. I was really nervous, and I thought Shenandoah was a safe top 15 maybe for me. Mm-hmm. So I usually catch mid-70s on low to mid-70s on Shenandoah, and I fish the main stem usually. I don't really have much experience on the North or South Fork, so the main stem I just go there and find a pocket and catch a bunch of 14-inchers. It's usually sometimes a 15 or a 16, but the spot I go to, it's just, I feel like it has a good amount of solid fish. I just haven't figured out how to catch them yet, or land them for that matter. But yeah, I missed. I couldn't go. The remake date was the next weekend because of it got postponed because of that freaking high water and all that rain we had. So I couldn't fish it because the we had a camping trip the next weekend.
So with that said, you had to miss that one, and the next event also got rescheduled a couple of times.
Yep.
Which was the
tidal
Rappahannock River, the tidal rap.
Yep. And it was the whole Rappahannock. It was going to be upper and lower.
Yeah.
But it was so the water was so rushing, and it, just to make it easier on everyone, Mike decided to do tidal, just keep it tidal, which it was fine with me. I already had a plan.
Any practice at all?
Yes. So I practiced a couple weeks before when it was upper was eligible for the smallmouth section and everything, and I tried that. I was able to catch like 3 fish, so I immediately, for a whole day of fishing, I was only able to catch 3 smallmouth, so I decided that wasn't worth it. But yeah, I went downriver. I forget the launch I went out of, but it's about midway to Port Royal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's about midway down, and there was a couple creeks that were feeding in. So I pre-fished the Friday before the tournament, before it got rescheduled. That Friday, I was pre-fishing out of that launch, and basically went to 2 or 3 creeks feeding into the river, and they were feeding in like really clear water, and the river was muddy as hell. It was a little high, but muddy. And these creeks have a bunch of grass in them, so they're filtering out the water, and it was completely clear coming out. And I found a pretty good bite when the tide was going out, right on those creek mouths. I had a pretty good bite going, and I was actually shaking fish off. I've never shook fish off like that before. Like
Really?
I think I caught like a 19 and a half incher and like a 18 something back to back, and I stopped setting the hook on them. So I was throwing a Texas rig plastic, and it was a little creature bait I was throwing, and I was throwing it on like a 8 ounce weight or 3/8 ounce weight, and I was depending on the current, and I was throwing it out into the creek and just working it out the creek, and they were ambushing, and I had a hell of I would have probably been catching 4 or 5 pounders doing that. It was a crazy bite. But a storm came in that Friday night. Mike had to cancel it due to everything being screwed up from the storm. Which, I mean, it was a good call. It was a really good call. Mm-hmm. I saw how high it went, like 0 to 100, or it was already at. I'll say 50 to 100. It was already at 50.
It was tough, man. It really was. Yeah. It got bad in such a hurry.
Yeah, it got rough. So he postponed it for the next weekend, and it worked out fine. I tried to do the same pattern. I went out of the same launch, same pattern, everything, and I was kind of striking out because the tide was different too. A whole week the tide's basically opposite of what it was. But I was able to find some small fish and keep myself in it. But it was a tough day. I think like top 10 or top 12, you had to have 5 fish in that. It might have been top 10.
It was a pretty good thing. I think it was like, let me take a look, see here. It was very tight, but the weights were down. It was, let's see. Christian had 81.50 inches, followed by Andrew with 80.5. Yep. Nathan had 79.25. Scott had 77.75. So like it was very condensed. It was very dense, that top half of the.
It was a grind, but I went up in those creeks and I just kept going. The 3 or 4 creeks I had, I just kept going back and forth. Same thing as like on Lake Anna with the brush piles. Figuring it's tidal, eventually fish will start biting, or fish will be there eventually. So I just kept that mindset, and I caught a bunch of 12s to start the day, 12s and 13s, and then I just upgraded over the course of the day.
How did you kind of already have an idea that this was going to play, that little pattern that you found, or did you feel like you kind of stumbled upon it?
I kind of stumbled upon it. It was actually pre-fishing that spot, that launch. That was the first time I ever fished there. So I stumbled upon it. It was dumb luck. But I knew I wanted to check the creeks out. They just weren't very deep creeks. They're very small feeder creeks. And they pushed out real clean water. And I guess and there was a lot of minnows. You could see crystal clear water. You could see everything. And even when we had all that rain the week after, I think there was a little bit of rain during the week too, before the remake date that we fished. And you could still see all the bait. Even though the water was a little more murky, you could still see all those little minnows and little glass minnows or whatever they are. They're not very big. They're like that big. But those bass are just inhaling them, ambushing them.
No, it's not, dude. It's not big at all. But yeah. I mean, with all that rain pushing in, man, finding that clear water is golden. And sixth place, 76.50 inches. We now have 2 events left in the regular season.
Yep.
Where's your head at mentally now?
I feel good. So the next event, I guess, is Sleater, right? Or
it's the
Battle of Five Lakes.
Yeah, with
I went to
Sleaters.
Sleater.
Yeah, it's. I know I need to eventually get good at the res, but my family lives in Purcellville now, so it's weird not to just sleep at my parents' house and roll out of bed and fish that place.
Yeah.
Was that your first time there?
No, I fished it before. Yeah, I fished it a couple times before, like two times before, maybe.
It's wild, man. It's got good fish in there. Yeah, like what you found. What you did doesn't make sense. Like, you should not have caught that in August.
It was crazy. But the reason I brought up Sleater, though, my nerves when I was going into this tournament, my nerves were kind of shot because I didn't know where to go. And Sleater, for some reason, Sleater was calling to me, so I pre-fished it I think I was there 2 weekends. So I was there like the Saturday, 2 weekends before, then the weekend before I was there like Sunday. And that was the pre-fishing that I got. And I went with my girlfriend and we just had a good time. I was just junk fishing. I didn't really figure out a good pattern, but I figured I could probably find 512s. So that was my goal going into it, was 5 fish again.
All right. So what happened through the day? Because dude, congrats, man. This is a hell of an event.
Thank you. Yeah. So I'll start from the early in the day. There was a couple down trees. There's down trees pretty much all over the lake, but there's only a few that I actually caught fish on pre-fishing. So I started on one of those down trees and it went to deep water. Basically the deepest tree that I found going to deep water, lay down. I started fishing it and I was basically not catching anything. I'd done good the last 2 times I went and it didn't fish anything like it did. I was throwing a drop shot. I tried the little fuzzy baits, the little fuzzy ball bait. I couldn't get them to bite that. I was actually getting small ones to bite that before. So I started watching, just sitting there watching, looking like, what's going on? How come I can't catch a fish? And I see them on scope. That's the thing. I can see them. I started seeing small fish. Man, I thought it was bluegill at first. And it might have been, who knows, but something was busting topwater in the grass. You know how the grass in that lake is a certain point where it kind of just goes in the deep water where you can't see the tops of the grass anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I started throwing a topwater popper, and just I use a Rebel popper. That's old school. That's the best pop I can get out of any popper.
Oh, you can't top it.
No, oh, you can't
top that popper.
Yeah. The Rebel popper is awesome. But I was using just a baby bass color, just popping it. And, I caught a couple keepers to start the day. I think I caught 3 keepers that way. And it was back to back to back. Then once the sun came up a little bit, that shut down immediately. And I was back to square one. So it took me half the tournament until I was basically just going up and down. I tried that hump in the middle of the lake. I tried all different stuff. And from one point to another, I went across the lake, just across deep water. And I look on my forward facing because I always have it kind of pointing in the front or scanning it back and forth. And it was about 20 to 25 foot of water. I see 3 dots, 3 little dots. I mean, they're decent size, but I had it down to 30 feet, 30, 35 feet on the depth. So they didn't look very big, but I killed my motor immediately, had my paddle in my lap, and stopped myself as quick as I could. I had a rod right in front of me, and I just grabbed it and threw it out. It was my jig rod. I had a Strike King, what was it? A Strike King like half-ounce jig, 3/8 ounce, half-ounce jig. It's like the cheap one. I threw it out there, let it sink, and I was still trying to stop myself. I was still going forward, so I kind of put my rod down, stopped myself, and then when I picked it back up, I just saw my rod tip bend over like that. I looked at my first instinct was to look at the forward facing, and I saw just a scatter, and I saw the one fish that was still in my line of sight, and I set the hook. I didn't have to set it; he already set it, but I set the hook, and yeah, I thought it was a catfish at first. I thought it was a freaking catfish at first.
It looks almost like a carp with a lateral line. That thing is so fat.
Yeah.
That again, it's like it's not emaciated. Like I really was shocked in August. It looks so damn healthy. They usually look a little bit more ragged, but my God, that one does not.
Oh yeah, she'll stick too. She had a good belly on her, and I mean that's a true football,
dude.
God. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it when I pulled her up. I thought it was a catfish at first, and the reason I say that is because on Mooney, I had almost the same exact thing where I saw a grouping of like 2 or 3 or 4 fish in the middle of the water column, like I saw these fish, and they were grouped up the same way. So I figured just catfish were suspending. I don't know, because at Mooney, I thought it was bass on Mooney before, and it was catfish.
Was this the biggest fish you caught last year?
Yes, this is the biggest fish I've ever caught.
Oh, really? Oh,
Bass
damn,
wise,
dude.
Yeah. Yep.
What was the getting him in the net like? Did you breathe at all that whole fight?
My net. Oh, yeah. Once I saw her, I started kind of, I had like a sinking, like in the pit of my stomach, because I just knew I was going to lose her. I had it in my mind. I was like, I'm going to lose this fish. So I started, and it sets you up for failure when you think that way. But I just started letting line out, letting her go back down. She started kind of getting wild once she saw the kayak and everything. It wasn't much of a fight when I first started bringing her up, but she dove back down and started taking drag. I had my my bait caster going, and yeah, I just fought her, just let her do her thing. I didn't horse her. I had it was 10-pound fluorocarbon.
That's okay, cool. So bait caster, 10-pound fluorocarbon.
Yep,
you can't, but just boat flipper. Okay.
Nah. But I did have a net, but my net was actually a little small for the fish.
Oh my God.
I'm not used to catching big fish, I guess, because my little net, I got it from Amazon. It's a little cheap net that I bought, and that thing was so shallow. I was able to get most of her in head first, and her tail was sticking out of the net.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that was a good fish.
Where was she hooked? Was she hooked good, or was it like skin hooked?
It was in the top.
Okay,
in the top of the jaw. So she wasn't coming off. I had to get my pliers out to get the hook out.
Dude, that is yeah. I mean, that's pretty wild though. Your PR comes in a tournament and you win big fish. That's that's pretty. That's gotta feel good.
Oh, it felt great. It felt so good. And I spent way too long trying to find the other two that I knew that was with her. Could have been bigger, could have been smaller. I don't know. But
they're probably bigger. Like, I mean, allegedly there was a 12-pounder caught out of there a couple years ago.
I believe it now.
yeah, definitely.
I didn't believe anything got that big.
Dude, I mean, I would have stopped the tournament and like found someone with a camera to take a picture. Like that thing's probably 8 pounds in the spring, or 6 to 8 pounds easily.
Yeah, so
damn.
My scale, I tried to weigh it on my little scale, and it has it's a 25-pound limit on the scale, and I put it on there, and it's an old Rapala scale, but it's been beat to hell. I think it said like just under 7 pounds. But I weighed it when I got home. I got a 5-pound weight and put it on there, and it was reading low on the 5-pound weight. So I don't know the true weight of it. We can say
then
even
that was
7. I don't know.
Oh yeah. So
I think it was reading a little low, honestly.
If it's a 7, then that's an easy 8 pounds in March.
Yeah, for sure.
Dude, it's
wild, a long fish. It was a long fish for the weight.
Dude, yeah, that thing was damn near 24 inches. That thing is wild.
Yeah. I think the longest one I caught before that was a 22 and a half. It was my biggest fish before that ever.
So damn, almost 2 inches. Wow.
Yeah, and about a pound. I've caught a 6.5 pounder was my PB before that. So if you call that an even 7 or high 6, it beats it. Either way.
Yeah,
the length definitely beats it.
Length, weight. You get Big Fish Award, top 5, 78.75 inches, dude.
Yeah. Look at the other 4 fish that I caught. They're 12, 13, 14 inch.
Yeah,
I should have caught one or two 16s would have got me first.
Do you feel like you had them, like a 16 that you just missed, or was the potential there?
I didn't miss many fish, if any at all, that tournament. I think the fish are obviously there. I couldn't capitalize on anything. I think that was just a complete luck of the draw thing. How I made the perfect cast, and it's all the stars aligning on that fish.
It's better to be lucky than good.
There was hardly any technique to that one. I have to say, it was just throwing it out there. I didn't even do anything with it. I just let it drop. I don't even think I left the bail open, so it might have been swinging back to me. I don't know. I threw it out, and I was still stopping, trying to stop the kayak.
Dude, when it's your time, man.
Yeah.
And
there was no expertise on that one. It was all luck, I think. But landing it, maybe the landing.
Yeah.
I didn't get too excited. I was excited, but I didn't get like to where I was like, oh, I got to get him in. I let him. I played him. Or played her.
Where was your head at then? I don't remember back then. Like, where was AOI? Like, was AOI Dunsky at this point with this fish, or did you still have to show up for the Potomac and Lake Anna?
No. So Potomac, I had to. I know for the last one, I had to at least catch 1 fish. I went into it thinking I had to catch 5, just 5 fish on Lake Anna. But at this point, I think I had to do decent at Upper Potomac. So the next tournament, Upper Potomac, that I had to catch at least 5 fish or 5 good fish. I was going into it thinking I needed like a top 5 on the Upper Potomac to have a shot. Just from everyone that was right there. And I don't think we dropped any tournaments yet, too. But I knew that I was somewhere, if not in the lead, I was somewhere close without dropping the tournament.
So, did you practice at all? Like, what was your game plan then going in there? Just to try to just catch 5 and be done with it, so to speak?
So, I did the same thing. I did a lot of practicing last year, which might have been why I did so good. I think that's the only difference. Not the only difference, but it's one of the main differences is just focusing on the water that we're fishing every month. I fished 2 weekends before, kind of the same thing as the what was it? What did I say? Tidal Potomac? No, Sleater. Sorry, two weekends before on Sleater, I fished. I did the same thing with the Upper Potomac. I fished 2 weekends before that. So the first week, the 2 weekends before I fished on the Upper Potomac, I launched out of, was it Point of Rocks? It was either Point of Rocks or the one below it. And then I pre-fished out of Point of Rocks.
Virginia side or Maryland?
It's on Maryland side.
All right, yeah, I know where you're at. Okay,
yeah. I think I pre-fished out of Point of Rocks on one weekend, and then I fished out of the one below that. Whatever landing, I forget the name of it. But I ended up fishing the tournament at Brunswick. I went Brunswick because I wanted more rapids. I was striking out on anything that didn't have rapids, and my mindset was that the river was so low that I could find bigger pools or deeper pools that fish would be in. But smallmouth like rapids, and I figured 3 inches of water probably hold better fish than the straight stretches I was fishing downriver. So I fished out of Brunswick, just went upriver and fished every pool, every rock I saw, it didn't matter how much water was on it. I just basically just fished everything that looked good and some that didn't.
When did that 17-incher come?
The 17-incher, that one came right at the end of the day. That was at the very end of the day. Literally the last cast I could make.
Was that the fish that kind of like you were like, I did it? Or like, was there a moment you're like, I think I just did it?
I was still worried. I think I only caught 5 fish that tournament, I think, on the Potomac. I think it was only 5 fish, and that was my 5th fish. But, yeah, I was still worried about fishing the Lake Anna. I was still worried about – because I thought I still had to place decent in Lake Anna because everything's boosted points, and I just didn't know. I didn't want to place it to – I didn't want to be like, oh, I got it in the bag. I didn't want to overconfidence. I didn't want to be overconfident on it.
Well, with that said, Lake Anna in the fall, you started your season and you ended here. What was Lake Anna setup wise? Was it different from the spring versus the fall?
This is going to be really shocking to you. I did exactly the same thing as I did early in the year. I went to the exact same brush piles. I had less success than early in the year, but I still made it work. I found a pot of grass at the very end of the day that I caught my 5th keeper on. So I only caught 5 fish on that tournament too.
That grass popped up out of nowhere this year because it was like not there in the beginning of the year, but my God, it was everywhere by the end.
I figured out a pattern that I ended up catching a couple bass after the tournament on the way back just to see if I could. And after the tournament ended, and I was still able to catch. I caught a couple 16, 17 inches at the end of the day after legal time, just because I figured why not try on the way back to the ramp. And yeah, I could have had a good limit of 16, 17 plus inches if I stuck with that, but I found it out way too late. I figured it out way too late. I caught one fish on. It was a Ned rig. I was using a Ned rig. That was like my best producing bait this year. Was a Ned rig.
Did you feel like it was just whip out the Ned rig, catch 5, and then that should be good? Then was that like what you're telling yourself the whole day, or what?
Yeah, I was finesse fishing the entire day mostly. But the Ned rig at the end of the day, fishing one of the grassy points that tapered out, I started fishing that kind of aggressively because I saw a bunch of bluegill on the forward facing, and I assumed it was bluegill. I'm pretty sure it was, but they were hiding in the holes in the grass, and I could see it on my fish finder on the forward facing. So I was like, I'm gonna start just bouncing it out of them. I was using the that Ned rig that's the weedless one, just so I wouldn't hang up on as much grass. And just a little creature bait like a crayfish or anything that had flappy legs. I don't think it really mattered, honestly. It might have, but it was just the situation. I was jerking it out of the grass, and that was all the bluegill were kind of reacting to it too on the forward facing.
I think that's good information for younger anglers too. Is the importance of consistency and not overhyping the Bassmaster magazine articles, basically of like trying to get too specific and too like locked into like fishing the big glide and this, where it's like you're like, yeah, I locked in a Ned rig, some finesse stuff, and I just did that and just catch a limit each time.
Yeah.
And look at where you ended up at the end of the year.
Yeah. Yeah, it turned out really good. It was a good end of the year. And on the way back, I actually launched out of Dike 3 that time. I launched out of there just because it was kind of calm. So I figured it'd be a decent travel back.
Did you have to share water?
I saw a few people out there. Nothing crazy.
Okay. That's good.
I saw a few people out there just going up in the creeks and coming out. People with torpedoes and stuff, I just have the bow mount.
Which for scoping, man, it's got to be a huge plus.
Oh yeah, it's nice. I toyed with the idea of putting the live scope on the trolling motor for these deeper tournaments, but the kayak gets pushed around so much. I don't know if it'd be, feasible to do. I don't think it'd be efficient. So
Probably not, no, because that's a huge difference between like again, boat, a foot pedal control with your foot on it versus this where you're fishing and having to move the stick and everything like that.
Yeah.
But dude, I mean, again, you finished 9th place, 74.50 inches at the championship. Huge shout out to the Chatterbait Ninja Chun for winning that bad boy. But you did it.
God.
You did it, man. You locked in AOI.
Yeah, it felt good. And I told myself, and I've talked to a couple other guys about it, but I told myself I'm not upgrading the kayak until it's like a upgrade that has to come through winning the AOI. I said I'm not going to buy a kayak because anyone can buy a kayak. I'm going to win one. So I told myself I'm not upgrading the Flint until I win the kayak. So I won a credit towards a kayak, and I got the unlimited.
Ooh, fancy.
Which is kind of hindsight again. The unlimited max wasn't out yet, so but I probably would have went with the unlimited max, honestly, because that thing looks sick. But the unlimited's cool too, though.
So, what are your plans for this year?
I think I want to branch out of the safe fishing. I think last year I played it safe and I fished to my strengths, but I also played it safe to where I wasn't swinging, trying to catch the biggest fish. I think last year I might have had a win doing that instead of because I didn't win anything last year other than the AOY. But as far as each tournament, I didn't win a tournament. A little bit of money here and there, but I'd like to get a couple first place. Or at least one first place. A couple is pushing it. Not many people can do a couple, but maybe one if I'm lucky.
I just
swing for the fence a little.
I just feel like if I'm now more convinced than ever, it's your time. When it's your time, it's your time.
Yeah.
I mean, I literally wasn't swinging for the fence. It was 48 hours after I got laid off, and I'm like, I'm just going to go to this damn thing and just go have fun for a weekend because this might be my last time I'm fishing for a while. And so it was I was just thinking fun, and it happened. And so, but then I've had other events where like I swing for the fence and I suck. So it's like,
my God. Yeah.
I don't know.
It's a hard balance. You really have to be able to balance it. Like 4 hours, if you have 8 hours of fishing, maybe 2 hours of throwing a glide bait around, and then the other 6 trying to catch 5. I don't know. I don't know what the right balance is.
I really don't, because like I put a lot of pressure on myself for like the smallmouth waters, because it's like all I do for fun is fish smallmouth. But then when those tournaments come in there, it's just in the back of my head, I got to make this work. But then I go to like a random place in Frederick where I don't care at all, and the pressure's not there, and I just go out there and fish. So there is something to say about it's about being like right there. And then everything will line up where you don't lose a fish. You make the right cast. Like all that jazz does kind of line up eventually for you.
Yeah,
it's pitching a perfect game.
Other than the tidal Potomac losing topwater fish, I really didn't lose that many fish this year or 2025. So I mean, that's a plus. That's something that I really didn't consider. But now that I'm thinking about it, you talking about it, I really didn't lose that many. That I know of.
And that's where it's like, isn't that crazy? Because like you like I remember 2 years ago at the Wrap, it's like I lost about 7,500 fish like on the boat, bouncing off the boat or whatever. It was just cartoonishly bad. Or you hook a bunch and then they shake off, and it's like you remember that, but then you have those good years where like all those little things you did correctly and it added up over the year to a good year. It's weird how that works.
Fishing clean, just fishing clean. I felt like last year was a real clean fish, all throughout the season. The top water, I think I was less than 40% on my hookup ratio. It was horrible. I missed a lot of fish. It was a lot. And I think John Mayhew won that tournament, the tidal Potomac, and that he's great at what he does with the swim jig and everything. He's amazing at it. But
dude, he's good.
I can't figure that bite out. But the top water bite, at least I was having action. What I thought about, I always throw a wacky rig or a Texas rig Senko or something at certain targets, and then just let it sit and the fish picks it up or whatever. But topwater, it was a fun way to fish. I think that was kind of swinging a little bit, but I think too my outlook on it needs to be a little different. You know, maybe work on the hookup ratio rather than just getting fish to blow up on it. Switch baits. Maybe a hollow body frog wasn't the right thing. Maybe it's like a whopper plopper or something might have been better hookup ratio wise. I don't know. I didn't switch a lot of baits.
Or just keep doing it. Like if you keep hitting a baseball to the warning track, eventually one's going to go over. And sometimes I think,
exactly.
I do think this gets us into trouble as athletes, whether it's fishing or other things, where it's like you overanalyze your swing mechanics, and it's it could just be that you just hit the ball right at the damn guy. Don't change anything. And you know, I've fallen into traps with this, whether it's fishing or other things, where it's like it's coming to the maturity as a person to be like, actually, I don't have to do anything different. I just got to keep doing this, and then the ball's going to fall in there. Versus like, okay, I had a bad tournament. Let me readjust all of my tackle, all of my stuff. And it's like, cool. Now you just nuked yourself completely because you have adjusted too many variables.
Yeah. Overthinking kills me on some of these tournaments.
Oh, God, yes. It does me too.
That's one thing that I dialed down a little bit last year, which probably helped in the success that I had from previous years too. Dial it back. Don't overcomplicate it. Just throw what you know works or what you think's going to work and move on.
Boom. That's all you got to do, dude. Anything I can promote for you here, boss man? Anything you got coming up or any sponsors?
Oh, man. I guess just Appomattox River Company for giving that lovely unlimited out. Just the it's cool that they started doing it. Luckily, the year I won the AOI, but they started doing it where they give us a credit now if whoever gets AOI, instead of just picking the kayak and give it and using it as a reward for AOI Angler of the Year. So I thought that was really neat. So shout out to Appomattox River Company for that, and obviously Jake's Bait and Tackle, which you already shout out to. They're amazing, and NVKBA for being the best club around.
Yeah, I'll keep saying it. I know it makes Mike blush, but yeah, I mean, you the way the schedule is structured, even when you get to drop your lowest, to win AOI, you must catch them on Lake Anna. You must catch them on a tidal body of water. You must catch them at a battle of 5 lakes. You have to pick a lake, and you must catch them in smallmouth. Like, you can't just say like, well, I'm just going to skip smallmouth and that's fine. Nope, you still have to show up and catch them at one of the events. And I think that's, if you want to go pro, they go to the Susquehanna River almost every year. You got to catch them everywhere, and NVKBA schedule gets you ready for that 100%.
I'll tell you, I switched baits out in my tackle boxes every single tournament that last year. I didn't keep the same baits in my tackle box. I always switched out certain spots or just dumped it and reorganized. So that could be another tip for someone trying to improve in success, because that was something that I changed too about last year. I didn't bring the same tackle box full of lures the same group of tackle boxes. I started dumping them and putting like a box together that I thought would be just for this tournament, and like everything else, just crankbaits that I thought would work. Instead of
isn't that crazy that we
stuff.
Do that? Like, John, I'm talking to you if you're listening to this, Lord. It's like you have a Bass Pro Shop, but then it's like you look back on the year, it's like I bought $100,000 worth of tackle, but I always had a Ned rig tied on.
Yeah.
It's so stupid. It's like, why did I spend all this money when I know what I'm going to be throwing?
Look in your tackle boxes. It helped a lot for me last year. Look in your tackle boxes and just think, am I actually going to use it, or just put it away so you don't. If you're fishing the tidal Potomac and then go to the upper Potomac, or tidal Potomac and go to Mooney or something, those baits can be totally different sometimes. So, don't even bring it with you if you don't think it's even going to have a chance of being used.
Dude, 100%. And play to your strengths, and don't overthink. Because like catching 5 is so important, like long term. Because I do believe people get too again, guys, personally, like people get so caught up on winning versus the AOI, because AOI is important as a barometer for your skill set. Because I do think winning does come down to like everything lines up. But if you end up top 10, top 15 at the end of the year, tip the cap to yourself, because that means you're consistent through a whole year, and that shows your skill level. You can always have one of those perfect game days on the water, and then you don't end up winning for another 30 years. Like that happens. So just think long term, be consistent, and you'll improve as an angler. But dude, no, I really appreciate you coming on here, guys. Again, please, I'm going to put a link in the episode description to NVKBA, Jake's Bait and Tackle, Appomattox Outdoors, and of course, I'll see you guys at Dale City this weekend. The next weekend, we're going to be down in Augusta County. Weekend after that, we're going to be at Jake's Bait and Tackle for the Kayak Fishing Show and Expo. And if anyone has any questions for me, you can email me, fishingthedmv@gmail.com, and we'll see you guys next time on Fishing the DMV. Bye. You're listening to Fishing the DMV with your host, Thomas Ahrens. Fishing the DMV is brought to you by Jake's Bait and Tackle, located in Winchester, Virginia, Tactical Fishing Company, and Fishing Pro Tech, located just outside Williamsburg, Virginia.
If that doesn't get you jacked up, I don't know what will.